Agile software development means in beginning we discussed when we started with the IEEE 1074 and then software development uh, waterfall model that we discussed. So I told you that there is a kind of linear sequential models and there are iterative models. And I told you about incremental also because iterative generally are incremental models are there. So agile is also one of the like you have observed that in spiral, Bohem's spiral model, the best characteristics of linear sequential, that is waterfall model, and prototyping, that iterative evolutionary kind of development. The best characteristics of both have been hybridized in spiral model. In spiral, it is a kind of that within that one circle or one spiral, it's sequential. But as you move outer from one spiral to another spiral, so it becomes iterative and it becomes incremental also. That it's adding to the previous version, it's adding functionality further. So it's expanding kind of. And in that direction only, that agile software development, it's also iterative and incremental kind of development methodology. Now, in waterfall, it is that requirements are freezed in the beginning. Okay, till and until your requirements are not stated properly, they are not freezed. So you cannot move ahead. Okay, let it be. It is problem definition, then analysis, then design, and then development. So means each and every phase need to be first completed, and then you can move to the next phase. Likewise, you have seen that in spiral is a special one quadrant is assigned to risk assessment, which was earlier not available. And in both, let it be it is spiral or it is waterfall. In that, it is that huge documentation is created. Means SRS till SRS software requirement specification is not complete, it's not validated. You cannot move ahead with the development, design or development. But agile methods, they emphasize on face-to-face communication over any written documents. Means it is till and until say your requirements are not 110% clear, are not stated, you cannot move ahead with in waterfall. But in agile, it's not so. That it is rather than written, it is face to face because of that. In agile, teams are very small. In waterfall or spiral, teams are very large, huge softwares are there. But in this case, it is very small teams. Like if second point you say, see that 5 to 9 members maximum in the team in one scrum. Okay. Agile methods emphasize face to face communication over written documents. Most agile teams are located in a single open office to facilitate such communication. Now, one agile management methodology, Scrum, is also one of the advocates a team size of 5 to 9 members. Larger teams than 9 should be split into smaller teams, which are called sprints. Okay. Within one Scrum, there can be sprints. So more than 9 members that will be split into smaller teams in sprints help make team communication and team collaboration easier. Means when it is only 5 to 9 members, 9 it's a maximum. So 5 to 9, of course, one level of documentation is required, but it is not that as compared to waterfall or a spiral that huge documentation, excessive documentation that is not required. Because if you remind in software myths in our introductory first or second lecture, so developers they think that it's kind of that excessive documentation, voluminous kind of documentation it is generated, and that makes us slow. Okay, so even if it's not reality, but yes, still in waterfall, huge amount of documentation it is, excessive amount of documentation is generated. And their logic is that for maintenance or later error fixing, it may be required. And of course, essential documentation will be generated in case of agile also. It's not that zero documentation will be created. Now, agile is an iterative and
Sir,
incremental. Yes.
Sure, if like you said that if a team size is very big, then they divide it into smaller teams. So that doesn't happen in a waterfall method or spiral method, because I don't think they would have a very large team. Won't they have small teams collaborating with each other in that those methods as well?
In waterfall or spiral, there is one team lead. Okay, that one team manager is there. The project manager is there is one project manager, and whole team will be controlled by him or her. There is a controlled hierarchy. Okay, that communication is that with control hierarchy, but that's not there in case of agile. Of course, there is only one team. They can be for sub tasks, there can be sub teams, but as a whole, there is one project team. That's not true in case of agile. So let's one or two slides more, and then you can again come back if it is still not clear. Okay, agile is an iterative and incremental kind of approach to software development, which is performed in a highly collaborative manner by self-organizing teams. Now, self-organizing teams. Now, in as I told you, in waterfall there is one team and there is one project manager. But in case of agile, as it is only 2 to 4 weeks maximum, that one sprint time is 2 to 4 weeks. So 4 weeks means maximum 1 month. Okay, so within that, because it is that requirements are in form of user stories. It's not kind of that they will document something or these kind of user will keep telling you these stories. Okay, the stories are it's a kind of their processes. They'll keep on telling you, and from those stories you have to form the requirements. And requirements are it's in form of user stories, and they are kept as a project backlog. They are called project backlog. Okay, and they will be prioritized also on the basis of their importance in user process. And the teams are self-organizing in a way. Say you are good in say analysis. So when it is at the time of analyzing the user stories, you will be the team lead, means scrum master. Okay, you'll be scrum master and the other will be working with you, and next day maybe somebody else will be scrum master. In testing maybe somebody else will be scrum master. Scrum master is kind of a team lead, okay, for the group lead. So they will keep on changing their roles. It's not that one will be a coder and the other will be a tester. No, these are self-organizing teams and with ever changing roles. It's not the kind of classical that waterfall model that where your roles are well defined and you will stick to only that particular task. So that's not there in case of agile. That's why I mean it was kind of that during 2010-11 there were when agile was introduced in India. So people were really means worried that it's a very difficult in developing in agile. It is a it's only in favor of customer. So developers they were thinking of that their life will become very tough because we will discuss because there is every day there is a closing meeting, scrum meeting is there, stand up meeting is there every day. Okay, and you have to come up with certain things, and the only measurable product in agile development is the code, how much code you have written today. That is only the measurable progress in any project. So I hope now it is clear that what is self-organizing team. So people will change their roles, and all roles will be self-organizing. So that's why it is with the highly motivated people. The team will be of a highly motivated individuals. That produces high quality software in a cost effective and timely manner, which meets the changing needs of its stakeholders. And one thing more is there that in waterfall, the main disadvantage was that the changes in requirements, they are not easy to accommodate. But in this, it's it's considered that requirements are ever changing, so they can be welcomed at any stage. Okay, the changes will be there because it is that in scrum meetings user will also client will also participate, and you are to get it through by the client before delivery in every scrum. Okay, so scrum I told you 2 to 4 weeks, so it means client will also participate in Scrum meeting, not stand-up meeting, which is daily, but Scrum meetings. User will also participate. Okay, I hope it is clear, but we will continue and then I'll take your doubts also. Now, agile development principles: customer satisfaction by rapid, continuous delivery of useful softwares. As we have discussed, that it is incremental in nature. So you have to prioritize those user stories, those backlogs, and you will pick up, I mean, the most prioritized one, and then within 2 to 4 weeks, you have to develop it, you have to design it, you have to test it, and you have to deliver it. Okay, then again, project backlog will be there. You'll prioritize from the prioritized user stories. You'll pick up one, and then you'll develop that. Okay, there may be. It's not kind of that if it is a huge project, so there can be n number of teams also, and Scrum teams are there, and they are working on the prioritized these user stories. But it is always incremental. So those builds you will keep on delivering to the client. So customer satisfaction is by rapid, continuous delivery of useful software. Working software is delivered frequently, weeks rather than months. Working software is the principal measure of the progress. Even late changes in the requirements are welcomed. Close daily cooperation between business people and developers. Yes, as I told you that there is daily meetings are there. So whenever you need client inputs, you can call them, or otherwise in Scrum meeting they will be there. So even if you want them in the beginning, that their participation is required daily in even stand-up meetings, so you can call them. Now, face-to-face conversation is the best form of communication because the team is co-located geographically. Even they are co-located in one office only. So means that classical approach in waterfall, that till and until you will not give me in written and you will not sign that agreement, we will not start. So that will not work in agile. Okay, it's only because I told you self-motivated people are there. The next point is that only projects are built around motivated individuals who should be trusted. Now, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. Then simplicity, self-organizing teams. Already I explained you. Regular adaptation to changing circumstances. Means if you will just check the dictionary meaning of agility, it's a changing. Okay, I mean that dynamic kind of, and now, if you are expert in all kind of, because if you have participated in requirements phase, in design phase, in analysis also, in development also, then in testing also, then only you can respond to these changing rules, ever changing rules. So that's why regular adaptation to changing circumstances that will be there. And I'll share with you a PPT that in which it is shown that TSP means they have considered TSP as a waterfall or any other kind of sequential model. TSP they have considered that it is a still water boating, still water. In still water, if you are using boating, so that is your waterfall or any team software process. But if it is water rafting, okay, in rafting, that is agile software because you never know what will be the next situation. So in drafting, you have seen that the ever-changing situations are there. Those kind of challenges are there. So you have to respond to those. So if it is regular adaptation is there and you can respond quickly, then only you'll be able to survive. Otherwise, no. Agile methods are Scrum, Agile modeling, Agile unified process. Like there is a, for object orientation, unified process. So for Agile also, it's more or less similar, but again, the changing kind of Agile data method, then test-driven development because data also may increase. In the beginning, it may be, and in challenges also I will discuss with you that scope creep may be there, that in the beginning it is very less, but when you are discussing, because clients are also participating, okay, so it is a kind of regular communication is there with the client. So in beginning it may be something scope is different, but later on scope may have increased. So that kind of arrangement is there because scope creep is always there in case of agile. So 30% plus minus in that we take care of scope also and cost also. Then test driven development, that it is not that only function driven or feature driven, it is test driven also. At the same time, when you are documenting the user story, at the same time you will plan for uh, tests also, test cases. So each and every test you will keep on doing. So it is a kind of that once test is passed, then only you'll move further. So test driven development is there. Then feature driven also, because user stories are there. So user will tell you a kind of those activities which are in terms of features, that these tasks are there, these tasks are there. So tasks, they are kind of those activities are in terms of features. And then behavior driven development, same, the test features behavior. Okay, then essentially unified process means you just need to know these terms only, not more than that. Okay. Extreme programming, already that I told you pairwise yesterday we discussed. Now this is one, you can say, simplest diagram for agile development. This is your user stories. I mean, these parts are there. Okay, it's not given that SRS as a whole complete set is there. These are certain parts are there. Prioritize product features desired by the customer. So those user stories are prioritized here in form of which is called product backlog. And on the basis of priority, one by one you will pick up. This is because it is one sprint, so sprint backlog now. Features assigned to this sprint. Now backlog items are expanded by team, because within that particular, you can say, sprint backlog, there may be n features. So those features you need to assign feature by feature or set of features to the different team members. So now they are expanded by the team. Now it is cycle is complete 30 days, 2 to 4 weeks. I told you that it's only 30 days, and you will keep on doing this. And every 24 meetings there is a stand-up meeting, which you may call it Scrum meeting or a sprint meeting or stand-up meeting. It may be only for 15 minutes at closing time, but that need to be there. Okay, so team members respond to basic things. What did you do since last Scrum meeting? Okay, yesterday we had. Now what you have done means which classical people, programmer or means who are classical. This question is the toughest to answer. That what you have done from last Scrum meeting. Do you have any obstacles? Means which are creating any hindrance for your progress. So if they are there, then sprint master's duty is to resolve that. What will you do before next meeting? So what you have done from the last meeting and what you will do for the next meeting. So means if daily you are doing this, it means it's a kind of review meeting. And if you are doing this, there is no chance, no question that you will lag behind. The new functionality is demonstrated at the end of the sprint to the client, and it will be, once it is through, it will be delivered. So now, yes, please, any doubt, and that somebody asked that question, you can repeat if it is still not answered. Yes, any doubt,
सर
please. हाँ,
इस सिस्टम में जो हमारी फंक्शनैलिटीज़ हैं किसी प्रोडक्ट की,
थोड़ा
हम
सा बिट
हमेशा
लाउडर,
वन
पहले
बाय
आपकी आवाज ठीक आ रही थी।
इस सिस्टम में जो हमारे फीचर्स होंगे फंक्शनैलिटीज़ किसी भी प्रोडक्ट की, हम हर बार वन बाय वन ही वर्क करेंगे किसी भी पार्ट के ऊपर।
जो भी यूजर स्टोरी में से जो भी फीचर्स निकल के आए हैं, जो आपने एक्सट्रैक्ट किए हैं, उन फीचर्स को यू नीड टू प्रायोरिटाइज। यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि प्रायोरिटाइज प्रोडक्ट फीचर्स। ठीक है, उनको प्रायोरिटाइज कर लेंगे। हो सकता है कि एक एक स्प्रिंट में या एक बैकलॉग, अगर आप ये एक ब्लॉग बना रहे हो, उसमें देर में भी 10 फीचर्स और 30 फीचर्स, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन देयर साइज। इज इट क्लियर?
नहीं, आई एम आस्किंग सर कि फीचर्स तो हम बना लिए उन्होंने कि कौन कौन से हैं एंड
हम्म,
प्रायोरिटाइज किया, पर जब
हम्म।
जो स्प्रिंट बैकलॉग होएगी जिसमें मतलब जैसे 30 डेज का पीरियड बोला, तो उस टाइम पे वो किसी पर्टिकुलर फीचर पे काम करेंगे जैसे जो प्रायोरिटाइज में हाईएस्ट है,
बिल्कुल, जो
या
भी
फिर ये हो
आपने यहाँ
सकता
से
है कि
पिक किया है ना, जो भी फीचर्स हमने असाइन किए हैं इस स्प्रिंट को, इन 30 डेज में वो उसी पे काम करेंगे, उसी को डिजाइन करेंगे, उसी को डेवलप करेंगे, उसी को टेस्ट करेंगे। उस
ओके ओके।
स्प्रिंट का काम ही वही है। उस स्प्रिंट का काम करना है कि उस पैक उन फीचर्स को कंप्लीट कर देना और उसको डिलीवर कर देना। वो एक वन इंक्रीमेंट होगा। इज इट क्लियर?
यस
एनीबडी एल्स? एनी अदर डाउट?
Sir, in waterfall model, like we think of the
आपकी
entire model, like in the
आपकी
waterfall on
आवाज
the.
नहीं क्लियर आ रही, थोड़ा सा लाउडर.
Sir, is it clear now?
यस.
So, like in this model, we are not thinking entirely of the model before we are creating it. So, if at some stage, like when a discussion happens with the like and we are asked to add another feature in it, which might be conflicting, won't that result in us to try again to create that feature? Like it might happen because we have not thought the entire model beforehand. So it might happen that some features might not be added or some features might be conflicting.
Okay. See, it is. It's not kind of that. Like in case of even structured design, you divide the functionality into different modules. Now here you will divide the features into different modules because it's a feature driven development. And those features, again, it is a kind of, if you are looking at it, it's a unified process, means it is a in terms of objects, and those objects will be kind of features, these features. And they'll be kind of, because if one thing you have added, say, one example I normally consider, that if you have a kind of in your media player is there. Okay, earlier if it is only audio player, now you want to convert that audio player into media player. Okay, so it is not that your existing audio player will be complete waste. You need to update it. Certain features you need to add. So whatever design you will prepare, that design will be such that it is easily updatable, it is upgradable easily, so that you can add plugins will be there, you can plug and play. Those kind of designs will be there. That's what will be feature driven and behavior driven.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Those design will be such.
फिर इसका
Okay,
सर
don't.
कंप्लीशन टाइम पुराने वाले मॉडल्स के कंपैरेटिवली ज़्यादा होगा ना, क्योंकि
कम
इसमें
होगा.
हम एक एक करके कर रहे हैं.
कम होगा. कैसे?
जैसे हम पुराने मॉडल्स में हम पहले फीचर्स बनाते हैं, फिर उनकी टेस्टिंग कर ली, वो
नहीं, हम फीचर्स की
डिज़ाइन.
बात करते हैं, वाटरफॉल में फीचर्स की बात की है कहीं हमने? हमने तो बात ही नहीं
नहीं
की
मतलब
वाटरफॉल में कहीं फीचर्स की. हम तो रिक्वायरमेंट्स की बात करते हैं. रिक्वायरमेंट्स को
ये सर.
कंपार्टमेंटलाइज करके मॉड्यूल्स में कर देते हैं, फिर मॉड्यूल को बनाते हैं, मॉड्यूल की फिर यूनिट टेस्टिंग करते हैं, फिर इंटीग्रेशन टेस्टिंग करते हैं. यही करते हैं ना उसमें.
ये सर.
फीचर्स की बात तो उसमें की नहीं. तो दैट्स व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस, कि वहां पे हम मॉड्यूल्स के बेसिस में काम कर रहे हैं. यहाँ फीचर बिकॉज फीचर्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर क्लाइंट. चीज वही है, लेकिन हम अप फ्रंट में किसको ले आए? फीचर्स को, नॉट रिक्वायरमेंट्स को. ठीक है, अप फ्रंट पे हमने
ओके
फीचर्स को
सर.
ले लिया, एंड वी विल गेट इट evaluated बाय द क्लाइंट एट द सेम टाइम विद इन ए
But
मंथ.
sir, this model doesn't. But sir, this like development model has a lot of discussion and many changes might occur in the development because this model is whole not like we have defined it previously. So shouldn't it take more time than the previous models? Because we have to discuss a lot and we have to analyze everything after each end day end.
No, okay. It's only very good that you raised this point. It's only kind of because of there's a change, okay, or you can say cultural shift is there. But it's not that it will consume more time. Rather, it will use less time because there is a face-to-face communication. You are saying discussion. Okay, maybe that when today you are starting, and you just see Scrum meeting here is sprint meeting is only for 15 minutes. It's not that it will long meetings will be there like in waterfall, that one complete day is for project review today. No, it is not. So discussion, and it's only five to it's this discussion is among 5 to 9 people only, and may not be all 9 will be participating in this. Even further divided, who are working on that feature, maybe 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people only. And in that case it was that they are to document each and everything. They will first document, and then that document will be validated, verified, and then that document will go to design. and then they will prepare design, and then design will be validated and verified, and then they will go for coding. So you can just easily see how much time will be there. But in this case, it is those features will be discussed immediately, and you will start working on that. And again, because you have seen there is extreme programming also. So I told you in extreme programming, it is that pairwise kind of programming. So if you have done today, maybe 1 hour you have spent on that, or 2 hours you have spent on that, because you have to answer at closing time that 15 minutes sprint meeting that what you have done. So that's why you will code it, and your pair member, the other member, will review it immediately and will see it. So it is rather less time consuming and fast delivery. But of course, people will be on toes that productivity will increase. You cannot sleep on that. Yes, please. Still, if there is still some issue, it's only cultural shift. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Done? Okay. Now see, criticism of agile development. Now you will see that most of the questions which we have discussed now, see, lack of structure and necessary documentation. Okay, people may claim, because it is, we have mentioned that every day, and only measurable progress is code only. So everybody will be busy in coding itself to prove. So there will be uh, necessary documentation we may miss, so that lacking will be there. So that will be only with the average kind of participants, or with the classical kind of thinking. But if you are tuned to agile, then it will not be there, because you know that this essential documentation is must, and that has to be generated. That only work with senior level developers. That is also one kind of criticism is there for that. Now, now senior level doesn't mean that number of years. Of course, that agile works with senior level of people, uh, because you see that how you will introduce the fresh recruiters in the agile development. If it is waterfall, so in the beginning, or in any project, if it is starting, so in that project team you can introduce. But in this case, it is because it is sprints. Okay, it will continue. So in this case, it is considered that the newcomers should be included in functional testing. When there is a functional testing is going on for this particular sprint, so they should be included. Why so? Because functional testing is, you know, that functional or black box testing is for on the basis of the requirements. So to, because if they want to write the functional test cases, or they want to perform that functional testing, so they need to understand the requirements. So that way indirectly they will understand the requirements for this sprint, and then they can correlate it with the backlog features, those requirements. And then once they will come into one cycle, so they will understand that, and then in any sprint they can be introduced. That is also fast in this case. And experienced or senior level developers here meaning is not in terms of years, it is in terms of projects. How many projects you have developed, what kind of teams you have participated in. So those all, if you have that kind of, means maybe in 1 year you have developed 5 projects, the other is that in 5 years has developed only one project. So means you will be more experienced, because 5 projects experience you have. But that kind of experience considered as here the senior level developers. Incorporates insufficient software design. As we have discussed, the documentation or design, these all requires too much cultural change to adopt. That we have already discussed, that too much cultural change is there. So that's why in 2010-11 many switchovers were there. People were switching over because of that. My company has adopted agile, now it's very difficult to work there, move to some other. But till how long? Now in industry it is a standard that agile development. Okay, most of the industries they are using agile development. And now few have already started with DevOps. That also we will do. I will introduce you to DevOps, which is now entering. Okay, few have already adopted. Amazon has already adopted in few of the projects, so they are adopting that. But agile is a standard now. Now, can lead to more difficult contractual negotiations because of that. As I told you, that in beginning user stories may be less, but with the experience they will be more educated, and scope creep may be there. Okay, but it is only in criticism. It's not the reality, because as I told you, that 30% plus minus is already they consider. So that kind of scope creep makes your contractual negotiations it to some extent difficult, can be very inefficient if the requirements for one area of code change through various iterations. The same programming may need to be done several times over, whereas if a plan were there to be followed, a single area of code is expected to be written once. ओके, दैट्स व्हाट दैट क्वेश्चन वाज देयर, दैट उसमें सारे प्रोजेक्ट का पता था हमारे को, तो वी कुड हैव कंटिन्यूड इन दैट बिकॉज प्लान वाज नोन. बट एज आई टोल्ड यू that in agile, because ever changing roles are there, ever changing requirements are there. Okay, and that we discussed earlier also, that changes are natural, and our business is because of their client requirement changes. That's why we are updating it. Okay, so those changes we have to accommodate. It is only is the design, we have to design in such a way that these components are kind of plug and play and easily upgradable, kind of that feature. If more features are to be added, let's add it. Because in object orientation, I don't think that it is very difficult to add one more feature. You have to write another function and you'll add to the class or to the anything. Okay, so impossible to develop realistic estimates of work effort needed to provide a quote, because at the beginning of the project no one knows the entire scope requirements. No, it's not true, because the client representative will tell you. I mean, that way, though, you cannot start any project. Okay, that's not there. As I told you, that it is only 30 to 30 to 30 to 40%. That is only permitted, and it is easily can be determined in the beginning. Drastically increases the risk of scope creep due to the lack of detailed requirement documentation. I mean, that is not that requirement documentation is not there, but of course it is in form of features. User stories will be documented, and for each sprint there will be set of user stories. They will be documented, and project backlog is there. It is prioritized and it is documented. Agile is feature driven. Non-functional quality attributes are hard to be placed as user stories. It's not true. Okay, it's only, it can be excuse, because when user is explaining you the user story or the feature, rather they will tell you more part of non-functional as compared to functional, that you are to drive out of that functional and non-functional. Okay, because when it is in form of user stories and features only, because features they can be non-functional also, so that's not true. Agile software development has been criticized because it may not bring about all of the claimed benefits when programmers are of average ability use this method. That is one issue is there, that if you will put in the right kind of people, okay, the right kind of expert mix is there in the team, then only it will work. Okay, otherwise it will lead to failure. I hope your all concerns are answered in this slide. Still, if it is there something, you please ask.
Sir, if a project has to be developed, if it's a high level project like something which is required with national importance or something like that, so will it be used in agile development or the previous one where every situation has been handled previously?
No, I could not understand the type of the project.
Like, sir, if the project is very important, like something that has to be used in a bank or something which has to be developed in a certain time and has very means critical ways, and like it has to be
आपकी
done
आवाज
in
ना
a
लास्ट में जाके वो होगी
like,
कुछ.
sir, a project in which a certain order of ways like thing has to be done,
But I
like a
could,
project
but I
related.
could understand that you tell that that is to be developed within a certain time frame.
And a certain time frame and some certain key points are there, like it has to be developed, like for a bank some security is very important, or so it might not have that much freedom as other projects. Like in other projects there is a little freedom allowed for the developer to add in, but in some projects it's not allowed. So will it be done under agile development or waterfall or spiral method?
Your question is very, very general, but still, let me try to answer. And if still any issue will be left, then you can please raise concern again. See, you said that in waterfall, you didn't specified waterfall, but you said that in other uh, development methodologies, certain flexibility is there with the developer to add something or those kind of that features enhancement or something kind of what I could make out of that. Like example is security, say you said in banking application. Okay. Now, do you think that in waterfall it will be more detailed, and in agile, if we are doing, it will be in lesser detail? It will be more abstract? No, rather in feature driven, because security now here will be considered as a feature driven. And if it is important, because your client will tell you, your client will decide its importance, and you as a technical person will further add to that. Okay, you will further second to opinion of your client that yes, it is more important and it is very, very critical. So now you see in waterfall, you have kept one SRS, and from that SRS there is one project manager. He has the whole SRS and will divide further in hierarchy. Vertical division will be there for this one subtask, one subteam for this subtask, and the other for the other. And maybe there may be n number of teams under one project manager. But here you see those all features will be prioritized, okay, in one sprint, okay, maybe first sprint or second sprint or nth sprint. In maybe that your security feature will come one day, your timing feature may come. So that for that particular sprint team, that feature is means maybe 4, 5, 10 features are there which they are to develop. They are all related to security, say. Now, see, Scrum Master here will take care of that feature, and your 4 to 5 members, they are dedicatedly working on that. And then that will be validated, verified, and focused in more detail, or in waterfall, it will be more detail. Yes, please. Come up, please.
Yes, sir. Because of my continuous like ways and like choosing by Scrum Master in agile development,
Pardon?
like
Pardon?
like when it comes to agile development, like more discussion would happen, more
Yes.
in would happen on it.
Yes, yes, of course. Because now these are the prioritized features one by one you are picking up. And it is, in case of waterfall, your client will come into picture for its validation at the time of acceptance testing. And acceptance testing is at the end. Okay, then they will come back, they will evaluate it in alpha and beta testing, they'll come, and then they will give their feedback, and again you will come back. And who have developed this particular feature in waterfall, you will be lucky enough if still they are in the company, and then they will work on that. But in this case, in 2 to 4 weeks, you have to identify those features, its importance, you have to prioritize, you have to design it, you have to develop it, and you have to, at the end, you will get it validated from the client. And in between, if there is any question by you, by a developer, any participants in sprint, then they can directly get it validated or get it clarified, get it appended, and at the end of that sprint, it will be accepted by the client, and then you will deliver immediately for its further testing. So the earlier sprints will be having all critical functionality. Why? Because those all features are prioritized. They are prioritized. So more priority features, they are released earlier. So client has that experience, more experience using those features, and of course their experience and testing will be much more as compared to the less prioritized features. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Still, please, I'll request you that today I'll share with you one PDF. That PDF is from Carnegie Mellon, which is Mecca of software engineering in the world. So it is about choosing your weapon wisely. That document is choosing your weapon wisely, because in software engineering institute at Carnegie Mellon, many people are from this defense also, ARPA also in US. They are visiting faculty. So means from NASA and all, they come and they teach. So their terminology is also in that way. But it is about selecting the software process, the best software process suited for your project. So choosing your weapon wisely. So I'll share with you in that. Agile is also given. MSS is given. MSS is Microsoft Synchronize and Stabilize Process. They call their development process MSS. Then there is TSP, Team Software Process. There is PSP, Personal Software Process, and Agile is also there. So on certain features, it's about 50 pages PDF is there, but means it is 2 or 3 pages are to introduce that, and then rest of these on one example. Okay, small project, larger project, medium project, and larger project. On that basis, certain matrices are prepared, and then its suitability is on the basis of the numbers it has been indicated, the suitability of that process model. So you please go through that, and still, if there is any doubt, you can come up tomorrow. Okay, and especially I request you that for agile, because in your campus interviews they may ask you related to agile also. So you please go through that, and then if there is any doubt, so tomorrow again before starting the next topic, we will discuss that. And still, if there is any doubt,